When Fritzy approached me and said, you want to have Ethan Hawke on? He's got a new movie. And I said, yeah. But I said, we got to let him know. I'll talk about Getaway, but I got to talk about Training Day because people thought I was crazy when I said he was better in his role than Denzel was, in my opinion, only because he showed so much range in the motions and, he had to be a tough guy. He had to be vulnerable. I don't know if he agrees with me, but Ethan Hawke joining us on the program. Ethan, how would you sum up the role in Training Day?
In Training Day?
Yeah.
I'd sum it up as one of the greatest experiences of my life. I mean, it's nice what you say about, in a lot of ways, Denzel was the bad guy, and that's always a really flashy part. But the truth is nobody would have noticed my performance if it weren't for the greatness of Denzel's, and that Denzel, to compare what I feel proud of, I said, to like my close friends when I got that job, I said, if I do my job right, Denzel Washington will win the Academy Award for this, because it's kind of it's a Jason Kidd job. You're kind of throwing the passes, and Denzel was, he was making the shots, and it was just an awesome experience. I don't think you can think of another movie star in our era who has accomplished what he has as far as combining artistic integrity and commercial success. It's very difficult. And, in my profession, he's a real hero.
But that's the kind of role that you sort of take home with you. You have to live in the moment, I would imagine. Do you think it was hard for Denzel to sort of check out of that role, when you're in between takes and then, check back into it?
Yeah, you don't step out of that role in between takes. It's probably hard to step out of after it's over. I mean, when he has a great role, he can chew into it like nobody's business. You'd have to ask him. I have no idea. I know for me, the more difficult roles I've had in my life, it is very challenging to shake them. It's very hard not to bring them home at night. It's hard to let them go when it's over. It's a mysterious profession that way, and the better you do it, the more complicated that process is. If you don't do a really good job, it's really not that hard.
Would you rather be in a guy flick or a chick flick?
I don't think like that. Nobody wants to be in a chick flick. I mean, it sounds terrible. Nobody wants to be in a flick at all, really. I mean, your goal is always to make something that's entertaining that doesn't waste people's time. That's the goal, is the value of a great movie or any kind of thing like that, a great book, anything, is to get, most people have to work for a living, and they're always busy doing stuff, and then they need something to relax, but you don't want it to just be candy, make you feel like you wasted your time.
But guns
or a meal.
Guns or a love scene?
You don't think like I do. I can't even think like that. I mean, I hate doing love scenes because it's just it sounds. If you're a sophomore in high school, it sounds cool. Like you get to make out with some hot chick. But there's usually 60 people watching, and she's usually got her agent on set, and it's. It's always not what you think it is, and I hate guns and gratuitous violence in movies. I really hate it. It's. So I don't like either option you're giving me, chick flick or guy flick. I like, if I could make Training Day, that's my dream movie. And I know nobody would call that a chick flick, but I did this series of movies Before Sunrise and Before Sunset and Before Midnight. And one of the things I'm proud of those movies as romantic movies, there are people that would call those chick flicks. But what I'm proud of about those movies is they are full of a bunch of lies. Most chick flicks means it's some, cotton candy for girls to, daydream about what a boy should be like when no guy is really like that. And then what happens is you go out with your girlfriend and say, why can't you be like Tom Hanks and Save Us in Seattle or something, And you're like, well, because nobody's exactly like that. Am I talking to the wind here, or do you know what I'm saying?
Oh, I know. Being a fellow actor, I mean, obviously you've seen me in those Sandler movies, or have? Oh, you haven't? Come on.
Well,
I've watched your movies, Ethan. I think that's only fair.
I don't. Well, now you say it so gently and sweetly like that. I feel really bad.
Well, I'm sort of the Jason Kidd to Sandler.
Well, I like it. Well, then you understand the metaphor.
Absolutely. And I did have a makeout scene. I just shot a movie with Sandler.
And how'd you feel about it?
I hated
Was it fun?
I hated it.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, and then I didn't know, full disclosure, I slipped her the tongue just out of habit, and that was awkward because it was, I wasn't supposed to do that. It was just supposed to be one of those kiss.
There's no way it's not awkward. Some girls are offended if you don't slip them the tongue. Some girls are offended if you do slip them the tongue. There's just no way. Sometimes I've done it with actresses who bring their husband to set. I mean, tell me, was that fun? That's not fun.
No. My daughter was on set.
When you had to do a little makeout scene?
Yeah, and I didn't tell my wife there was a makeout scene because I didn't know it. Sandler put it in, and my daughter's on the movie set, and then I had to call home. How would you like that phone call?
Yeah, I wouldn't like that phone call.
Yeah, it wasn't good.
That's part of it. It's the truth is, as the older I get, the less I like doing romantic movies just for that reason. It makes. There's not a wife in the world who loves her husband that is like psyched that you're going to go like roll around in a bed or something, pretending to be attracted to some beautiful woman.
The movie is Getaway. We're talking to Ethan Hawke, who joins us now. How good a driver were you before you got into this role? Because what are you driving, a Mustang Cobra?
That's what I'm driving in the movie, yeah.
Okay.
Well, my brother is a colonel in the Green Berets, and he kind of taught me how to drive, and so it's always been very clear to me that, in his opinion, I was a lousy driver, and so he when I got this job, I was telling him about it. I said, hey, well, we're going to drive this Mustang around, and he said, well, you got to go out to Mid-Ohio racing track and learn how to drive. And so the truth is I did. I went out to this racing track, and these guys taught me how to drive, and it was so fun. I got to do all that, flooring it, going in reverse, doing 180s, racing the car around the track, spinning it left, right, and center. And so I had a great time doing that.
But it seems like any car movie that has a chase to it, there's action, is going to get compared to Fast and Furious.
It has to.
Right?
Yeah, of course.
But is that a compliment if Getaway is compared to Fast and Furious in any way?
Well, look, these are ideally you want to make movies that are being compared to The Godfather. That's what you really dream of when you get into making movies. Being compared to the Fast and Furious is a little bit like, it's. They both fall in. They're genre movies, and it's designed to give you something fun to do on a Friday night. And I would say that a bunch of the Fast and Furious movies for that genre have been excellent, and have been they've taken car chases and all that stuff to a whole new level.
Yeah, there was Gone in 60 Seconds was another one.
Yeah, there's been And there was like a motorcycle movie called Torque or something, Remember, Brando did the Wild one back when, and there's Bullet. Bullet was a great movie. Bullet was more than a car chase movie. Bullet was actually a great film. And so, I don't know. The wonderful thing that the Fast and Furious has going for it that I love about them is they're funny. The guys seem to be having a genuinely good time, and it doesn't take itself seriously at all. And so, in a lot of ways, that is what The Getaway aspires for.
Any chance for Training Day 2?
For years they kind of talked about it, but I think we actually kind of already made Training Day 2. Antoine Fuqua and I did a film called Brooklyn's Finest, which isn't a sequel, of course, but it's kind of the East Coast version. It's a darker film, and we had thought about making a Training Day 2, but it's so rare that you can really make a movie that works as well as Training Day. We didn't want to pour any water in the beer and just try to. It didn't that movie has a kind of simplicity to it, Training Day, that worked. And if you did a sequel to it, every now and like I don't know if you saw it, but French Connection 2 is actually kind of good. Every now and then somebody makes a sequel to an action movie that excels, but in general, it's just water and beer. And,
Ethan, I was in Grown Ups 2 sequel. Hello, yeah, you knew that though, right?
So you know what I'm talking about. So we made Brooklyn's Finest instead.
What position did Jake Hoyt play in high school?
Safe.
There you go. Were you a big hitter though? I mean, I can't imagine you being sort of that big hitter in high school. You seem like a thinking man, strong safety in high school.
Well, I don't know. I actually played defensive end, so but we weren't first division or anything like that. I was.
You realized it was time to think of maybe a future, a different career?
Yeah, I realized it was time to pick a different career when my football coach used to yell at me, "Stop posing." he said I was always trying to look cool out on the he's like, "Stop posing, Hawke." And I thought, you know what? Maybe I'll go try out for the play.
Hey, good luck with Getaway. And I meant what I said about Training Day. I thought you were brilliant in it, and I
really appreciate you saying that, man. I love that movie, and I'm happy that you like it.
Good luck with the movie, Ethan, and thanks for joining us. Thanks for being a good sport.
Thanks for having me on.
All right, that's Ethan Hawke. Movies Getaway, Selena Gomez, opening up in theaters nationwide.
The Dan Patrick Show, weekday mornings on Audience.